I'm Ty Schmidt from the University of Nebraska, assistant professor in meat science and muscle biology at the University of Nebraska. And I kind of wanted to talk about some of the research we've done with Saccharomyces cerevisiae subspecies boulardii 1079. So when we think about production livestock agriculture, one of the most important aspects is the health of the animal. A healthy animal has the ability to thrive in the environment and be productive in terms of producing muscle mass for meat or in terms of producing milk for the dairy animal. And so it's extremely important for us to provide the animal the optimal environment, the optimal tools to maintain a healthy immune system and have the ability to meet the criteria that we place upon it. And one of the aspects that's really important in terms of the health of the animal is the amount of energy that the animal must utilize when it mounts an immune response. And so it's extremely important for us that when we have an animal that mounts an immune response, that it has enough energy to get the immune system going, and then the energy also to fight the infection and then come back and return back to homeostasis and have the ability to continue on as a production animal. And so with the research project we did, we supplemented Saccharomyces cerevisiae to some receiving feedlot cattle for 28 days. And then we gave them an immune challenge, a lipopolysaccharide challenge. And one of the really interesting aspects that we saw from this trial was that the cattle that received Saccharomyces cerevisiae, they had a decreased production in their cytokine profile. They had a response to the immune challenge just like the control animals, but they produced fewer cytokines, possibly suggesting that they had a more effective or efficient immune response. We also saw some decreases in cortisol production, which is, our stress hormone, and that also leads us to the ability that they possibly had the ability to overcome the immune challenge at a little more effective rate. But probably the most interesting aspect of the trial that we conducted was looking at the rectal temperature of the animals as they went through this challenge. And we've known for a long time that when an animal is challenged with a pathogen that we have the fever, the initiation of the febrile response. And that takes a massive amount of energy. And so when we gave the cattle the immune challenge and looked at their response to it in terms of rectal temperature, one of the really unique things we saw was that the cattle that received the Saccharomyces, they had a much lower change in body temperature when we compare that to the control animals. And when you just think about it in terms of a difference in body temperature, it doesn't really register as, that's a big, major trait to look at. But when you look at the amount of energy that's required for the animal to mount a fever, it's a significant amount of energy. For an animal to increase its body temperature by 1 degree Celsius, it's estimated it takes about a 13% increase in metabolic energy use. And so when we looked at the cattle that received Saccharomyces cerevisiae, they had a much lower change in body temperature after the challenge, which we hypothesize is possibly giving those animals the ability to return back to homeostasis, to spend less energy when they're fighting an immune challenge. And if we're spending less energy when the animal comes back and has defeated the pathogenic infection, it's going to be well ahead of the game in terms of returning back to the normal production cycle. So the research that we did kind of shows some very interesting results in terms of some possible benefits and some benefits that could be very significant for both the dairy industry or any other livestock species, and the fact that it appeared that the supplementation allowed the animal to conserve energy, utilize less energy when it mounted the febrile response. And this could be a massive tool for us in the industry as we continue to fight pathogenic infections, and we also have issues with heat stress and other things. And so the research that we found gave us some really encouraging results, and just in terms of not only the fact that we saw changes in the animal's immune response, but we also saw some very significant changes in the febrile response and the energy utilized to mount that febrile response.